Gadaffi Gadaffi Manaffi, Gadaffi 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 Manaffi.
Sanbonan, Dumelang, Tabela, Abshin. My name is Gadaffi Gadaffi Manaffi. Gadaffi is from Limpopo. I was born in Alexandra, actually, and I grew up in Limpopo. I'm a fifth born of 7 siblings. I was born in a very balanced family, like my mom and my dad were always there. And I grew up in Teflua, a small section in Limpopo, in Polokwane, next to University of Limpopo. I went to primary school in Pulamadiwo Lower Primary, and I was a very shy child, honestly. Benkala, and when I'm being bullied at school, I wouldn't say anything, I wouldn't retaliate or anything. I was very humble. Not that I'm not humble now, but I was very humble. I hung around with boys, and I learned how to not bully people, but honestly I was mostly laughing at people most of the time. But it was more like I enjoyed myself around their company because I could relate with their personalities. Growing up, I've always wanted to be a dancer. Yes, a Latin dancer. I actually used to dance at school, but because my parents didn't think being an artist is, you can be you can build your career as an artist, I just, the career died. But I've always wanted to be a dancer, a Latin dancer. Yes. Moving from Limpopo to Johannesburg, it was not a personal choice. What happened was I was expelled, in high school because because things happened, Bazalwane, as I said, that I used to be one of those, I used to hang out with boys, so I guess I was just too rebellious, bro. It just became complicated. My relationship with my parents became very complicated, so we couldn't stand each other, and as a result I had to move from the crowd that I was hanging out with, and they believed that coming to Joburg will have a great impact or transformation in my life, and that's how I got to be in Joburg. Coming to Joburg, it didn't necessarily change my character, but what it did is, when I arrived here, as rebellious as I was when I moved from Limpopo, remember my parents were very, very extremely strict, and they wanted me to go to their church. So when I came to Joburg, that's why I was rebellious. When I came to Joburg, I had the freedom to go to go worship at my choice of church, and as a result I became less rebellious. I was a church girl. They used to call me Omamfundisi because I used to preach and stuff, like being singisi, when gezeng egazi, so being it perfect, need proper, and but when things are buried and are not dealt with, they eventually they come out, So my personality, it just came back again, but in a good way. I mean, that's how Gadaffi Gadaffi Manaffi was formed, and it was very strategic in a way. It's not just being rebellious, but being strategic about my rebelliousness. Settling in Joburg, what transpired was I went to tertiary and I studied because I didn't know what I wanted to study. I mean, I was passionate about dancing, so now because I couldn't dance anymore, I decided that I'm going to study business secretarial, and I studied that for 3 years, but then I got a job eventually in the media space, a radio station for 3 years as well, and I got bored. I just felt like I needed to grow. But in the process, I studied sales and marketing management, and from there I studied marketing management after that. And out of marketing, I realized that I was passionate about PR, because there's a bit of section in marketing, there's PR in marketing. So I went and furthered my studies and studied PR. And after that, but then I worked a lot in events, and that's where I realized that I have a passion in events. Little did I know that it was going to lead me into the entertainment space.
Yeah. Gadaffi 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 Manaffi Gadaffi Gadaffi.
How I got into the entertainment space, I met Mr. Jerome Fugeng at one of the organizations that we attended together, but we knew each other from Grace Bible Church. In this space, it was more business, conference kind of thing, and we started engaging on a professional level, and he invited me to come and work with him. That was in 2010. We did the World Cup Gala Dinner, the presidential one. So I booked artists and I was managing the entire thing, and that's where my journey began, by managing and doing contracts as well. And then we started working on the Brenda Fassi production in 2011, and that's where my journey began.
Gadaffi 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 Manaffi Gadaffi Gadaffi Manaffi Gadaffi 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 Manaffi. What you wanna know, what you wanna hear, what you wanna avoid, let her do it for you. It's attention. Yeah. What you wanna know, what you wanna hear, what you wanna avoid, let her do it for you. It's attention.
Getting into the industry, it was not that challenging as much. I think because I worked with Ndade Jerry Mufugeng Wamaketa, and he was my mentor. He showed me the ropes, especially the music administration of the business. And because I was coming from the corporate, it was very easy for me to work with the administration. I knew what contracts looked like. I knew the lingo. I had the basic understanding of the lingo of dealing with contracts, the importance of contracts. So business, I was more of a business person than more in arts. So he became the mentor for me into the arts industry, and more especially knowing how to deal with celebrities. I mean, we worked with big names in the industry, but he taught me how to treat them as colleagues more than celebrities, and as a result, it was very easy for me to work with them, and to also put be grounded or in your pants. Like you stand your ground and don't let anyone pull you with your nose left, right and center. So it was very easy for me to work with in the industry. As a female in the male-dominated industry, I had to be tough, not to be exploited. And more especially that I come from a very strictly business company or background, even because I didn't work for one company. I worked for a number of companies, and they were all global companies, hala. And as a result, I learned how to grow balls. And most of my mentors were males. They were I never had a female mentor. So as a result, I started thinking like them and conducting business like them, and but I realized that I had to be, to be strong and to really to be. Look, personally, the industry just like brought this person out of me. Initially, I was not like this person. So but I realized that I'm going into a lion's den, so I had to like really, nami ngibene, ikraha mara ungithola in my own space. You realize that I'm just like a chilled person, but when I get into the industry, you have to be that, have that character, otherwise exploit. Literally, and yeah, in other ways. So yeah. Attention. So what happened was, I always refer to my background in the corporate world because everything was formal, and there were ways of conducting business to be successful, and the most part of it was the business administration. Once you get that right, everything goes proper as long as you have a strategy, right? So as a result, when I got into the entertainment industry, I realized that things were not in, there was no structure. Like, people just do things, and then most people were complaining about payments and whatever, and I'm like, do you have a contract? And most of them didn't have contracts. And I actually realized when I used to be a booking agent that you could literally negotiate a price close to nothing. Like, umuntu zoti, I charge 100k, right? And you negotiate it down to 50 or 45k. I did that to Benjamin too. So you literally can do that. But I realized that no, man, this thing, I couldn't live with it. I couldn't sleep at night. And I realized that something has to be done. It's not right. Yes, it makes business sense. You can make a lot of money by exploiting, but it's actually not right. And that, for me, for the fact that I could not sleep doing it, it meant that I had to do something about it. That's how Attention was born.
Gadaffi 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 Manaffi Gadaffi Gadaffi Manaffi Gadaffi.
The first post that brought traffic to Attention that comes to mind right now, was about Kayam Teto. What he did was, he went to papers, I think, and he was talking about his new album, and he was criticizing the legends, gospel legends like Abo Kwalega, and Nano Mama, the one who married many pastors. I can't remember her name, but yeah, if I remember the name, I'll tell you the name. The one who likes Nigerian pastors, that one. I'm sure you will know. Yeah, but yes. And then he was saying that their way of singing was too old-fashioned, and it needed some revamp, and they're not putting any efforts, and blah blah, wada wada, yada yada. So I said to him that what I posted was that after listening to his album, because I think that's when he was releasing his first album, and when I listened to his album, I was just not impressed. So I wrote that he could have done better if criticizing the legends, he could have done better himself. And then people started attacking me. They attacked me, saying to me that I'm a hater, but actually I was just stating facts that Kaya was not the best when we compare to his league, his age or this generation. He was just not the best, so he had no right to pull such a stunt against our gospel legends. What made Gadaffi Manaffi, not to sugarcoat anymore, but to mention names, was when I got tired. People were not listening to me. Remember, I was not always radical, but I would speak generally and say, dear musicians, can you please not sing out of tune, or don't scream, we can hear you. And people are not listening, and I realized that people are not listening to me, and this thing was just too frustrating, right? And I started being radical and mentioning names. It was to correct the system. I realized that if I generalize, they wouldn't know what's in Kulumangabo. But if I say exactly whom I'm addressing it to, eventually it will get to those people, because the advantage was that I was already in the industry. So it's either that person knew me, or there's people who knew that person, and they will pass the message. And that's how it worked, and it's working perfectly.
What you wanna know, what you wanna hear, what you wanna avoid.
Attention show is about education, music education, business education, music lore, because I realized that a lot of artists don't have any clue what they are getting themselves into. Most of them, all they have is talent, that's all they have. But how do they make their talent into, convert it into business? And for me, that's where I come in and teach them about the business world. It's all about controversy as well, and I love the controversy part of it, because it has a lot of truth in it. And exposes, we need to expose any exploitations that is taking place in the industry, simply because there's a lot of artists that are suffering because of exploitation, whether it's record deals, or it's booking agents, or it's publicists, or all angles. So we're gonna be addressing, as we have started already, we are going to continue on that journey and address those issues in a very professional way until we come up with solutions. What I can promise to upcoming musicians and existing ones who still don't know contracts or business, you're going to learn a lot from me. I promise you that you're going to learn a lot from other people's mistakes, because that's how I learned as well. You're going to learn how to negotiate your rates, how to present yourself on stage, how to negotiate, how to listen, how to, open a presence like me. And I promise you, by the time we are done, because this is not gonna run for life, because I'm not gonna live forever. Someone's gonna take over maybe, yes. But I'm sure by the time maybe 10th episode, you would have learned a lot, because I will not be working on my own, but I will bring other professionals to come and answer questions that I cannot answer to. So this is not a Gadaffi thing, but it's about you. It's about you asking questions and us bringing professions to come and answer your questions.
It's all about education. It's all about...
So the kind of guests that we're going to bring on the show, we're gonna bring psychologists, because you are already here. Some people, and this is like, it's not a joke. I know I'm laughing, but I'm not laughing. A lot of musicians are artists in general, especially with the COVID situation. The people have been damaged, mentally and psychologically, and so we're gonna bring a psychologist, to come and talk to you and calm you down. And then we're gonna also invite music lore, yes. Music lawyers as well. We're gonna also invite people in the music space who are contributing in big companies like record labels and stuff, so that they can educate you on, if you want to be signed up with a record label, what is it that you need to work on first, what is steps to building your brand. And we're gonna bring professionals in the marketing space, in the sales space, and how to sell yourself from radio, the space that music exists in, or arts exist in. We are going to bring those people to come and speak to you. Like, honestly, it hasn't been easy being in this role, fighting, being an activist in the industry. It hasn't been really easy because you get threats, you get threatened, bro. People saying that, bitch, you need to shut up, but you can't, because you're fighting for the truth. Imagine if Malema, EFF leader, if he kept quiet, we wouldn't be where we are right now. We wouldn't be knowing so much, and there's a lot of shit that is just like coming out. So I think it's threats, and especially when I did one with for Lindelani Mkhize. That one is what went on papers, and he tried to intimidate me and sending people to call me, and all that drama. It was traumatic, but I was like, I'm gonna do this shit, and this nigga, if you got it, I got it too, but it wasn't easy. I had sleepless nights, but I just kept moving forward, and I knew that it was possible to actually challenge people, that it doesn't matter what level you are or your status. It is very important that you get challenged if you're not doing things right.
Wanna hear what you wanna avoid. Let her do it for you.
Do I get it wrong sometimes? So far, not Gadaffi, no. Like everything that I have ever addressed, I think it's, look, I can't say that when I speak about music and say that I don't like certain things about that song, I will never go back and say, now I was wrong. No, when I listen to music, I listen to one song 10 times before I can say anything about it. So if it's an album, I'm gonna have to listen to it for like a few months before I can say anything about it. So I can't say that musically I go back and say, no, I was wrong with 1, 2, 3. If I don't like your voice, if you don't change it, I still don't like it. When it comes to exposés, I make sure that whoever is complaining, the complainant, gives proof of what they're complaining about. So if there's anyone who will be wrong in any situation, it will either be the artist or the victim. Or the culprit, but it will never be me, Maybe I'll get it wrong sometime as this show goes on, but so far, and I'm perfect.